All right, is everybody settled pretty much? Jeannie brought cookies. I see they're already half gone.
Better get them
Yeah.
fast.
So help yourself there. Thank you, Jeannie, for bringing those. Who doesn't have a laminated muscle body chart? Does anybody have one?
I don't have one.
No.
Here. I've got one. I just
You
want-
probably don't.
I know I don't
okay.
have a laminated.
I'm just making
Whether I
sure.
have the body chart,
This-
I'm trying to think
I
of.
don't have that one. You have
This is what I recommend. This is what I recommend doing. Is I've taken like a little key ring, okay, and I've just hole punched the corner, and then you can flip through the different things. And these are just different. I teach a class where we go more specific just into the muscles. Of course, we're doing that here, but a little bit different. Anyway, you've got like a flip chart because some of you should already have this chart laminated, right?
Yes.
Okay, so who needs this?
I need that.
Okay. Who needs the 5-element emotional thing?
Is that the one on the back, gray and the pink?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. What I recommend is
Thank you, darling.
I think we want
Okay,
to do
now
a
what
picture.
time
I'll bring it back.
okay, sure.
I'm not gonna, I'll leave this here. I'm
You got one
gonna
there?
keep it. 'Cause I've got one.
really?
I've got
Okay,
one.
good.
That's
Good.
what I did.
I've got one of those binders
That's why
like
we
we have
rejected
the
it.
little
Oh,
round.
we
Do we need to use one this evening?
Okay.
Will we need one to use it tonight?
Not really.
Okay.
No. The main thing is what I want to do is to keep the cost low. Instead of printing out a bunch of sheets each time, I'm going to give you laminated sheets that you can just keep and bring or keep home. So, like the muscle chart here, I'm gonna have this laminated, and of course we'll just be going over different sections at a time.
Thank you.
That's it.
How many massage therapists are there?
You have to raise your hand and massage that.
What,
5 in here?
Massage therapists, 1, you are Carla, 2, 3, 4, and.
So be sure to keep these sheets because if you want another one, it's going to be $5. Okay?
Do we have one?
Yeah, of course.
We've got all the other
Yeah,
ones.
we
We
got
just share.
Okay.
We'll just share. We just have the one.
Be careful. This could hurt somebody if you hit them with it. I got that 7 mil laminating sheet. Okay. We will be using that today for sure. The emotional sheet, maybe not as much, because Jeannie did mention before, group, we really didn't go over how to apply anything last week. We just kind of went over the different body parts. And, hey, Marianne.
All right.
No, you're just uncomfortable.
There's not a clipboard thingy for this chair.
Oh, there isn't? Where's this side? Sign it. Okay. Takes care of that. I'll get these sheets in a second. So everybody has both laminated sheets now. They already have one at home. Okay. Like I said, what I was about to say was Jeannie asked that, how do we apply this specifically? Of course, massage therapists can do much more technique with what I'm sharing. Because a lot of what I'm going to be going over or have been going over is going to be about kind of diagnostic, what's going on. So you're seeing what's going on not just with the physical body, but the mental, emotional, how they all connect together. That's my thing. That's my love studying and get juice out of doing and sharing. So we're going to be going over that really heavily. But in doing that, you get to see how you can affect the physical body by understanding more of those things. So last week we did the face, the neck, and the shoulders. And this week, I feel like I got this feeling that I need to kind of back up a little bit each time. So we kind of like go over a little bit of last week with each new week. So you kind of get like a revisit. Because everybody has like new things pop up and questions that might have come from last week. So we'll do that. Make sure I'm on the same page here. So my mission statement with these particular classes is to help individuals understand the links between their minds, emotions, body, and life so that they may live a more balanced, healthy life. The goal being in embodying a pure heart and peaceful, focused mind. It is one thing to read and obtain new information, but said information, like religion, is useless unless one can embody the information. We embody information by practicing. What is practicing? Putting forth effort to do those things you read about. It is the action side of growth and self-development. So what we're doing here is going to be actually practicing, looking at ourselves and talking about what's going on with us, like we did last week, in how, you get to see just how closely it relates, and I still get amazed sometimes. It was like, who was it? Angie was sitting right where Carla was last week, and she was talking, she asked a question about she tends to walk a little sideways like a crab, and I go, well, are you Cancer? And she goes, yeah. So there's even aspects of astrology that relate into how our body works. So crabs tend to walk sideways. Cancer is all about the chest, protecting the heart. So when you walk a particular way, especially with the left side forward, it's guarding that energy coming in. So the premise behind what I'm sharing is that the physical body is really like the screen of your consciousness. So whatever shows up on your physical body, in your physical life, whether it be feng shui. You don't have to know about feng shui, and I guarantee you your house is feng shui. You can walk into somebody's house. Everybody pretty familiar with feng shui. It's about setting the house up a very particular way and setting it up for energy and increasing relationships, money, whatever. The crazy thing about that, it's like computer code. It's like this code that we all use unconsciously. So when you buy a new house, it may be missing a particular area, like a corner. They talk about missing corners. They'll be missing that area because you're getting that through your consciousness. So you can walk into somebody's house that doesn't know anything about feng shui and read their consciousness, because all our houses are feng shui. They're feng shui to where we are right now. The thing about that, you think about your life and everything being feng shui to who and where you are right now, and you look at the negativity to find where we need to change it so we can work with the system. So we can consciously feng shui our body, feng shui our environment, and everything else. Relationships is a big part of that. So we're going to be practicing by looking at the body and getting in depth with that and going deeper. How's the temperature in here? Good? Okay. So the practice. I finally got this down to a pretty reasonable what I want to try to do. Because I've studied so many different things over time, I want to try to bring these in together. And of course, I got to have enough time with the information to give CEUs. So part of it's going to be the verbal lesson and written worksheets. So the worksheets that I give you when we play with. What this does is it attunes you to the information. So, what it does in a group setting, and if you're playing with it, and if you're talking and asking questions, which I recommend you doing, because everybody benefits from that. Like when you're reading a book, you can't ask a book questions, right? There's missing an interaction there. And if you can interact with the group, ask questions, and play with these things that we're going to be talking about, you start grokking, which just determines the information becomes part of you. And that's the whole idea. Something becomes a part of you, not just something that you read and you got to keep referring back to. It's taken me years to kind of grok this information. I can just kind of throw it out of my head. But if you practice with it, you'll get it to where it just comes to you because it can. The meditation, I'm always going to put in like a silent meditation at the end. And the purpose of meditation, from my perception, and Mary Ellen actually taught transcendental meditation for quite a few years. It was a huge thing. Still is probably a pretty big thing. But the main focus with meditation is to clear your mind and emotions so that you experience your natural state. And your natural state just being a healthy, in balance being. But life is messy, so we get pushed this way and that way, and we get programs from childhood and these experiences, and they show up in the body. So we're going to be throwing in some meditation. We're going to be limited in Kundalini Yoga, even though the chant we're about to do is part of Kundalini Yoga. Tapping and Qigong are all going to be about cleansing, preparing the energy pathways in the physical body. So basically clearing out the vessel, so to speak, so that we can channel the consciousness and the energy. And then pranayama, breath work, and chanting, we're going to be bringing that in slowly. I'm going to get with Stephen, and maybe next week he lead us with a qigong breathing thing. It depends on time frame. So building and refining your chi is what the breath work does, and the chanting, and the ability to focus and direct energy. So like with a massage therapist, and not just massage therapists, anybody in your life, the breathing and focusing of energy is probably one of the most powerful things that you have at your disposal. Just simply breathing into the moment, focusing, you know, like when you're freaking out, if you can just take a moment and, okay, I'm going to breathe, you know, simply changing your breathing changes your consciousness. And actually it shows like when you're actually doing something physically, your breathing changes too. But you can change your breathing without having a physical action and change your consciousness as a result. So when you're working on somebody, massaging somebody, breathing energy into the area, breathing consciousness into the area helps transform those things. Spirituality. I can't help but bring some of that in because to me it's all connected. You know, I'm always talking about that little example of a sewing machine. You have the bobbin below and then you have the thread up top and it's all spun together. And you have to have those two separate threads to make a garment. And to me, it's like we have the physical body that we see here, and then we have, hey Don, you can sit right there, bye. We have the physical, you have a cape. So we have the physical that we see here, and then we have the metaphysical, but you can't separate those. So when we're trying to deal with only one side of the coin, we're not going to get the whole picture, right? And you know, things are changing within the medical field, but you know, medicine has always been like looking at the physical body, but not much further than that. And to me, psychology and medicine should be woven together, not separated. I mean, you should be going to both. You can go to a psychologist, that's good, and you can go to a doctor, but if they're both on the same page and looking at what's going on, you get a much bigger picture, a deeper picture. So I'm just going to say this. I don't know what I'm going to say at the beginning of everything, but there's a few new faces here tonight. Spirituality, not religion. I see religion as a cover of a book, the label, the outside, and spirituality is what's inside. Spirituality isn't the words, but the practice of the words. Unfortunately, religion, or the misinterpretation of it, leads people to judge one another, which only separates people and stunts growth. Spirituality unites and goes beyond words and belief systems. Some of what we will discuss will bring in components of spirituality and religion. I personally don't care what you believe or judge anyone for how they believe. If I share something, it's because I think it fits and helps define or describe something. So we're going to do a little chanting here, and this chanting is simply to focus, and we're just going to chant it 3 times. And here it is, Ong Namo Guru De Namo. Okay, we're going to chant that 3 times, and you can just follow me. And mudras are hand positions which activate consciousness, and they activate different meridians. So the mudra we're going to use tonight is simply like the prayer mudra. So you're going to just rub your hands a little together, take your thumbs, and you're going to place them against your sternum. Okay? Just close your eyes and focus inside. We're going to chant this 3 times. The first time we chant it is we're focusing right now in this space. You're focusing on your individual beingness, so to speak. When we chant it the second time, you're going to focus on being everywhere. You're going to try to be as expanded and as big as possible. And the third time we chant it, it's going to be bridging the two. So it's about bringing the awareness of being an individual, but also being part of something larger. So thumbs against the sternum, eyes closed. Take a nice deep breath in. Breathe out. Om Namo Guru De Namo. Om Namo Guru De Namo. Om Namo Guru De Namo. Good. It's just like a You can think about it like coming to the now, being focused. It's like a prayer before eating or something like that. If you don't agree with that, you don't have to do it. It's just a Kundalini yoga practice, and they always chant that before they practice. It's about connecting to spirit and being protected in the practice. And basically, the words mean connecting to God, universe, the Tao, the Guru, which the perception is that, you've heard that term namaste in yoga, okay? Namaste, one of my favorite definitions of namaste is, I honor that space in you, that when you're in that space in you, and I'm in that space in me, we are one. And that's the heart space. It's the heart chakra. It's the center of all the other energy centers. So by being in that space, we are aware of our connection to one another. And ultimately, I believe a lot of what our work here is on earth to do is get to where our heart space is open. And we've all had experiences where, of course, our heart's been kicked, stabbed, cut, right? From childhood and everything else, experiences. And that's led us to armor up. And that's a lot of what our body issues are. But once we begin to clear ourselves and come back to the heart, so it's almost like when we come in to live, we lose our heart, and at the very end, we come back and find our heart. We come back home, so to speak. So when we're really living in the heart space, love shows up in the different aspects of our life, which you could look at like the chakra. So love should be in everything you do. That's your root chakra. Love should be in everything that you create related to your sexual energy and just your life. Love should be in everything that you will, how you push intent into the world. Love should be in your words. Love should be in your visuals and your thoughts. So the whole idea is to have love in all aspects there. And the cool thing about that is that our body, well, it's cool from one perception, our body is like the barometer to where we are on our path, okay? Quite literally, it tells us exactly where we are. And the thing about that is you don't have to like dig deep into someone's skull to dig out some problem. It's right there on the screen. And what's the screen again?
Your body.
Your physical body. It's your life, you know? To me, I'm always like tuning into my screen. It's like I'm looking at that and go, okay, why is this problem happening? Remember we talked about last time that, pain simply comes from our resisting something. So you ask, what am I resisting? What's the pattern? And it's not always fun to do that, but once you can find and you get in the habit of doing that and finding out what that issue is, then you become freer and freer. But I'm always looking at myself and going, okay, what's up with this? Why am I out of balance? And you keep pushing and going further. So this is part of that. So your sheets here that you have, everybody should have a couple of sheets here. We're going to go a little more in depth with some muscles today, so I gave you a couple more pictures added in here. And then, of course, you have those laminated sheets. And some of y'all's, your pictures will be color, and some will be black and white. I was just kind of playing with my printer to get the most ink out of it, so that's why it varies. Maybe your neighbor has a color, or Marion has these lovely stripes, or pan stripes through you. Yeah. Okay, so I know that we went over neck and shoulders last week, but I want you to revisit this area, okay? Some people haven't even done that, okay? So go through, and you're going to, if you have like if it's acute, which means it's happening right now, or it's chronic, where it's always happening, maybe you don't hurt right now, but it's a pattern, write that stuff down. A pain, flexibility. Sometimes you don't have any pain, but there may be a flexibility issue where you can't go one direction more than the other. If you've ever done yoga or something like that, you're really good at doing one side, and you try the other side. It's not that much fun. And then anything else around the neck and shoulders, do that. We also have the back, and you can jump to that if you want to, because some of y'all were here last week. So just take a few moments now to fill those issues out. Where you have issues, okay? And this is you. This is you. Nobody's going to see this unless you want to share it, so don't feel like you can't write whatever you want to. And then on the next sheet is about back, and you're going to do the same thing. Where do you have back issues, pain, chronic, where it typically hits you? Because you're going to understand the body more by looking at your own body and understanding it.
Are we supposed to mark what area?
Yes, thank you, Annette. I'd forgotten that. So see these pictures here in your booklet. You have, you got these pictures here with the body, and then you have the psoas muscle, and then you have these muscle charts. All this. Feel free to go through and write, especially on these 2 pages here, mark where your issues are, okay? Mark over the muscles. Those sheets are for you to write all over, okay? That's why they're black and white. The color one that you can keep, you know, you won't mess anything up. You probably don't want to write on the skeleton sheet here. This is something you can keep. I mean the spinal vertebrae, because it tells you what different vertebrae relate to different issues. You might want to not write on that one.
If you don't have pain, lucky you.
So what should I write if I have no pain?
No pain, no issues, no tightness in any area? Nothing in any area?
Any area?
Neck, shoulder, back? None of it gives you a problem?
No, not really.
Okay. Do what? I guess wait until Ray finishes and we'll start in a second. If there's nothing, if there's nothing
Have
you,
most massage therapists put their hands on your shoulders for a minute.
yeah, they can find, they'll find you your
What do
problem.
I need to write down, Stephen?
Just circle the whole thing.
You're very familiar with my shoulders and back.
It makes Steve fill it out.
Here, Stephen.
Step up to the board.
Circle my hair and problem areas.
Yeah, that's for tapping, and it also has like different emotional things that are attached to like the physical part, the swollen system, and then they enter each of the
Share.
organs. I just let her have mine
Okay.
because I've got a set of these at home.
Stephen, is it E in both places?
2 E's.
G. Huge.
It doesn't go this way. It goes
E.
They don't necessarily cross that way.
I need to ask you a question. Is it is the proper way to say it? Are you a Reiki master, or
Yeah.
is that the proper way to say it?
Yeah.
Somebody asked me the other day, and I'm like,
You would go through and you would
take the class. Okay.
certificate saying?
My certificate says Reiki master. It's hanging on the wall. But no,
You know, it's master just means teacher. I mean, yeah.
Now, I let all my kids come in and they see that. They go, what's Reiki?
Yes.
I tell them, go home and good.
Yeah.
and that runs along, that's the line.
Yeah, and try to be specific when you're filling the sheet out. So, you know, if it's a particular muscle, try to identify that on the sheet. Okay? Yeah, you can circle it too. Yeah, look for the name if you can, because the name is going to be important as far as
Where it's sitting.
the specific way to address it.
Lines the rhomboids.
It works, yeah.
So this goes with this.
John, why do you have to write it down? I would think anybody could work on it or something?
Maybe, yeah.
You're gonna make everybody on the massage therapist.
We need a massage.
Yeah.
We don't want to
That's
do
your
a massage. We want a massage.
Deserve a massage.
It's your CEU hours. You're gonna give us a massage.
Yeah, see, massage therapists, you know, as most caregivers,
Right.
give, and
Right.
never give.
Exactly.
Uh,
that's pretty much what they call it.
Yes, fire is one of the meridians that has 4 or 2 sets. Yeah, the white ones are you have the whole small ones, and then you have all vertical, you have like you have anything solid, and then some all solid
Oh my gosh.
all of them are
I've never seen that before, where it says L5, the vertebrae.
associated
My
with
feet are always ice cold, and my ankles sore all the time, and I have like 4 or 5 SU1 feet. That's why. I have slightly more resistance. I had told you once, okay, yeah, I had a 300-pound.
If y'all have any questions, feel free to ask.
yeah.
And this is after I had
But
it.
it's
I was helping her down.
Eric already was
Yeah.
Big ones where you have to take X-rays.
Like these muscles aren't showing the sides of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
She'd stood up on that step.
Yeah. Let me answer a question of Marsha's real quick. When the muscles are, let me answer a question from Marsha real quick. Okay. When the muscles are shown on one side of the colored picture but not on the other, that means some are superficial, which means on the surface, and the other one is showing it deep. So the muscles are the same on both sides. Some are deeper and some are more superficial. That's why
As far as spleen and stomach and bladder and whatever, it's
yeah, they're all the muscles are the same on left
still
and
the same no matter what side.
yes, exactly. They're all the same on left and right.
Well, probably everybody had it here.
yeah, that's the only, you don't necessarily pay for it. It's just I want to see you credit for it. Really good. He takes love energy with the love offering or yeah.
I heard right across the right down my spine, right in this. I think it's that. This side. These are your wrong right here. But there's
Underneath this?
yeah.
No, you can come. You don't necessarily have to be here for that. You can just come here.
Every day. Cleaning, washing dishes, cleaning.
Yeah.
But particularly with the breathing, because also so arms when you're doing that, you don't only have that in this area, you're actually doing your arms.
I don't want to read that.
So how's everybody doing?
We don't like the list.
I'm slow.
You don't like the list? Why?
I'm on the list, you don't like what it says.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not the particular.
and you know, for each one of those, if y'all want to know the emotions, I'll go over in a second. There's basically, you know, there's 5 elements and there's 5 basic emotions. But that chart is like a spectrum. Just like frustration is actually within anger, but it's a low octave. You know, frustration is different between rage, but they're both in the anger spectrum. So.
You have a lot of anger issues.
I do not.
Oh, yeah.
I do not. What are you talking about? Here, let me show you.
Wait till we get home.
To the moon, Rick. I'm irrational too, according to this.
And?
I play with dogs all day, what can I say?
This off, isn't it?
Oh, it doesn't.
You're toxic.
You're taking it too literal, okay? It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
all of them.
No, it's not going to be all on a spectrum. Do you have a question, Marianne?
Did you say you're going to go?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go over the elements in a second. How's everybody doing?
I'm slow, you might want to warm it up.
Spend 3 more minutes on that, and then we'll go forward. Just try to fill out the best you can wherever you've got issues, because I'm really worried. I'm really want to concern on where you have issues. That's it. Okay, just for you. No.
Right? If not, Stephen helps me. He knows my back very well. Oh, is it?
Oh, it's really tender.
It's just, it doesn't hurt, it's just to be touched like that.
She had a trade-off.
It's like, too much. It's almost like a real deep tickle. Oh, really? Yeah, yeah.
You won't be sore motion wise. It's usually up to the touch.
I know, I got up the other day, it was Friday. And I don't know if I want to say all of it. It's like my rotator
Yeah, she
cuff.
pushes a lot in there.
And I kept thinking I haven't done anything, you know, physical to it.
She's another massage therapist. She comes occasionally.
That's good.
She's probably taking care of kids.
And also thinking female side, shoulder support. And
So let's go ahead and move forward. If you can always fill these out later.
my daughter.
No soliciting. Tell me no soliciting.
You can continue filling these out if you want to as we talk a little bit. So I want to go over, just like we did last week. Marianne was a really good example last week of some things and how accurate it is just to get the mental emotional. You find, if the body is the screen and you know how to read the body, you can tell exactly what's going on with that person inside. Just like feng shui, if you know what the map looks like and you know what you're looking at, then you can tell what's going on inside. Same thing. Everything is a screen referring back to something inside. The crazy thing about it is reflexology. There's reflexology, the hands, all the points are mirrored in the hands, all the points are mirrored in the feet, all the points, iridology, are mirrored in the eyes, the ears, acupuncture, everything can be done on any of these systems. So to me, it proves that there's a holographic aspect to our being, because every part that you could take literally could take a cell out and you'd have everything related to the body. You could study the cell if you want to. So the screen is trying to tell us something from simply getting a cut on the index finger, because this has to do with colon and letting go and releasing and control issues. Even the most subtle little accident ties in a bunch of information, and you can find out what's going on with that person to help them find balance. Because basically whenever we're hurting, we're typically resisting something and we're out of balance. Whether that comes from an old program from childhood, and childhood could be parents, it could be something being carried forward from the parents. And actually, I believe that issues that come in the DNA actually still go back to consciousness, because epigenetics is not really a new thing, but something that's gaining more and more popularity. And epigenetics basically says that if you have a repeated habit, you'll rewrite the genetic code of your cells. And if you take that even further, if you have an emotional habit, you will rewrite the DNA of your cells, okay? That means literally, if, say you had a great-great-grandfather who had a big heartbreak, and he began to eat sugary things excessively to the point where he gained a lot of weight and, had children and passed that on, that genetic component comes through, but it was written from an emotional standpoint, in my crazy world. You don't have to believe that completely, but I believe that even what appears to be genetic typically has a mental emotional component to it, in the way I just described it.
Did you say emotional DNA? You said that the habits rewrite the emotional?
Oh, just the DNA, not emotional DNA, but DNA in general. Okay. Dr. Bruce Lipton really gets into the cell biology, and he's actually a cell biologist who discovered when he's playing with cells, and he took out the nucleus, and the cells would still live for a while. And the old school, and they still teach us to some degree, because it hasn't gotten mainstream yet, but the old analogy or the perception of the cell was that the nucleus was the brain, So if you took out the brain of something, it should be dead, but it kept going. And he found out that the nucleus was the reproductive system. And of course his joke was that, of course, men thought that the reproductive system was the brain of the cell. And what turns out to be the brain is the membrane. The membrane is the memory brain of the cell. So our memory isn't just in one place in our body, it's all over the body. And literally whenever we have a particular emotion, we are twisting and either tightening our DNA strand or we're loosening it, which means it's exposing different areas for the RNA, which basically is like a copycat. It comes in and copies it and then tells the cells in the body to do something. I don't want to get too far off into that, but basically our emotions are causing certain things to be repeatedly produced in the body, whether it's a neurochemical, a certain posture, it goes on and on. And literally the emotions interact with the chakra system. So you could look at it in lots of different ways, because you have an emotion, you have the hypothalamus sits up kind of in the center of the head, and at the end of the hypothalamus you have the pituitary. It's like an upside down mushroom. That's why psychedelics tend to give people visuals, because it's accessing that little pituitary. It's opening it up, and you go, oh, of all the colors, right? And it looks like a mushroom, which a lot of psychedelics deal with mushrooms. But anyway, the pituitary releases hormones, and these hormones then go down and affect the other endocrines, and every endocrine is attached to a chakra. So literally your emotions are making the different chakras open or close. Simple from that perception anyway. Of course, it's a lot more complex once an emotion gets in play and all these things that go with it. So let's bring it back to the body though. Anybody have anything they want to share related to the body?
Well, I sort of have a question.
Sure.
So in my case, having had polio at 7 months and the muscles being paralyzed, affecting my, I didn't walk till I was 3, and when I did learn to walk, I had a heavy metal brace on my leg,
Mm-hmm.
which in my early years, which when I was forming, I would be walking leaning
Right,
this way.
yeah.
But since I quit using the brace, I depend on this side.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, I do believe that it goes back to my parents and ancestors, but at the same time I think that there's it makes sense to me that there's a factor of gravity and
Yeah.
compensating and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of like the connection of the muscles to the organs,
Mm-hmm.
that still pretty much would be consistent with.
I think totally, yeah. I mean, to me, if you can't take a system and look at it, and this is what I've been doing the entire time I've been studying this stuff, 17 years I've been like really in depth in this, is I keep diluting something and throwing something out, because to me, if it's like the feng shui computer program, okay? Everybody does that, I know for sure. I know for sure if you go into your house, you've got that set up whether you're consciously done it or unconsciously. It's just a program you go by. And I know for sure that whatever is going on with your body goes by a particular program. And the program you cannot break or fake, okay? And you don't have to be aware of it, just like you don't have to be aware of feng shui. It's working without your knowledge. It doesn't need your knowledge to make it work. Now, once you start becoming aware and conscious, you begin to work with the system, and you can begin to change things purposely and not be the victim of those things. But yeah, it works by a very specific system, and yeah, it's going to fit completely. And that's why the part of this class I'm doing is getting people like with Marianne and her, you know, we're like, okay, she had a raised right shoulder, right? And we just basically tore that down as far as information only, right? And then the story fit, right? And it does that for everything and everyone. It's not going to be any different. It doesn't matter what's going on with you, whether you got that from an ancestor, because the thing about that is, you know, you could say that we are the surrogate for our ancestors, literally. Okay, whatever's happened in our past, we've brought forward. We're the end point, okay? So we're the surrogate of what's all happened to our ancestors too. Where we live, everything is going to be based on that. And all that plays in completely. In ways that can get way too big because there's so many maps. I mean, you know, feng shui your house, but think about feng shuiing the city. The city we live in is going to have a certain feng shui based on the mass consciousness in the city, which then is going to fit into the state, which then is going to fit into the country, that fits, you know, into the whole thing. And it gets massive, 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 because it's just one, like those Russian, that's why I have those Russian nested dolls is exactly like that. Is you take it apart, and the same system's inside again and again and again and again and again, right? That's why they like, here's your body, you look at your eyes, same system, look at your hands, your feet. It's all the same system. So it doesn't matter, shouldn't say it doesn't matter, how you got to in a particular situation. A course has certain implications, but it doesn't exclude the code that we're living by. You know, God code, if you want to use a term, source code. It's basically, this computer has a very specific code written into it. Like we mentioned last time, this is a 64-bit computer. The I Ching has 64 I Ching engrams. There are 64 codons in the DNA. You know, there's that reciprocal over and over and over. It's like we're living in a computer-generated system, if you wanted to look at it one way. Bless you. So yeah, you can't escape it. You can't escape that system reciprocal.
I've got one question and one success story for you.
Okay.
I'll give you the success story first, so it's good one.
Yeah.
Remember last week when you were saying about how pain is, you're resisting something?
Mm-hmm.
You just mentioned it again today. I really hadn't thought about pain as resistance. So this week when I was talking to the patient, remember I was telling you about a patient that had hip.
Yeah, the woman. Yeah.
Anyway, so I opened up the subject about her resisting something,
Mm-hmm.
and you had said that this area is the creativity, the sexual thing.
Right.
So I just asked her, I said, I want you to be thinking about this, and then just kind of say this over and over to yourself to see if look at your life, see if you're resisting your sexuality, your sensuality, your creativity, and then start saying, I'm open to receive my sexuality. I'm
Mhm.
open to receive. She calls me back about 4 days later and tells me that she has less pain in that area.
Huh, that's
And I
awesome.
thought that was really,
Yeah.
really good. She's got definitely the physical thing we've got to work on,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, and you might as well hit all sides of it because
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean massage, yeah, if you massage the area for sure, just go woo, wave over it. But yeah, I mean that's awesome. Yeah.
The question I had is you talked about feng shui. Do you know about Vastu?
No.
Okay, I'll share and send
Okay.
some information.
Cool.
And did you get my email on the bone?
No, I didn't.
Okay. On that email that you sent, follow up from this
Yeah.
last class, it said something about there that if you send an email, it goes out to everybody on that list. You were talking about the bone marrow.
Oh, was that the bone stock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That one. Okay.
The broth?
Yeah.
You were trying to guide people a little bit in
Uh-huh.
how to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I've already busted all that out into 2 really good articles.
Oh, cool.
So I did them as attachment and replied back to you.
Huh.
And it said it down at the bottom that if I did that, it would go to that whole email list, so I didn't know if anybody had gotten that.
I haven't checked, to be honest.
I-
Most of the time in emails, because I don't get an email.
Well,
I just have to
anyway,
look on
I'll-
Facebook.
Okay, let me write that down. Yeah, I'll double check.
Yeah, you gave me your card, so I'll send it to your direct.
Okay, yeah.
And then you can send it out to everybody.
Okay.
If you want it. Yeah, it's got bone soup recipes as well as bone marrow.
Cool.
And it talks about the who, what, when, where's, and whys of it.
Okay. Donna, what is your email?
Donfon, DONFON, @sw.rr.com.
donfon@sw.rr.com.
Mhm.
Okay. Make sure. Okay.
I had something interesting just kind of when you're talking about the 64, the I Ching and the
Yeah, yeah.
64 codons. The 64 is 8 squared,
Mm.
and 8 is the infinity symbol.
True.
You have infinity squared.
Yeah.
Not all of those are active.
64 also, if you add it together, you get, no, it's 10. Never mind.
But if
you don't want to get like that guy Jim Carrey in that
The
movie.
one, and it starts over.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe.
We are all one.
Okay, I'm going back to the body. Anybody have a particular issue that they want to share that they're dealing with? Head, neck, neck, shoulders, or back?
I had something, I woke up Friday morning and I think I've got it figured out, so we'll see how I'm on this path. my rotator cuff
Okay.
area, okay? Just a lot of pain. I probably a 4 out of 10. It was, lifting, moving my arm, and it was kind of like, what's going on? So I went back and I reviewed, did I lift something? Did I do something at the gym? Maybe the wrong movement or something? And couldn't really come up with anything substantial that would have caused some kind of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm in the shower, I've got like the hot water on it, and I'm just, thinking about it, and I realize, okay, that's female side,
Mm-hmm.
and shoulder is lifting, support, holding things up.
Right.
And I've been allowing myself to over support my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of allowing her to kind of take some advantage of me. And in the past month or so, I've really been voicing my boundaries to her
Yeah.
about what I will allow her to do and not do as far as how I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of the path I've been taking with what's going on with my shoulder.
Cool. Can in any particular area that it hurts the most, though? Can you pinpoint?
It's like from the top around the back
Okay.
to the back of the shoulder.
So on your muscle sheet, which muscle is that?
I think, I can't pronounce it, spinatus?
Supraspinatus.
It's, this one, where am I at? Right here. Is that it?
Lower tract.
'Cause it's like in between, where, it's in between, like here. It's like between the upper trapezius and the deltoid.
Okay.
Which could be the supraspinatus.
Yeah, it could be the supraspinatus.
Okay.
Because that's on the scapula area, and
Which is just a little bit
Yeah.
deeper.
Up and right in there. Yeah.
so what is that, Marion? That's actually more, isn't that more in between the shoulder blades and the spine?
No, it's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just.
Your thumb
this is the
right on
deeper
it, yeah.
muscles, this-
Oh wow! See, that's why I think it's really important to have people pinpoint. When somebody says shoulder, it may not.
Well, I mean, but I can feel it like
Yeah. I know.
all
It's,
the way around.
Yeah.
You cannot put your thumb right there, so she just, whenever she put it,
Yeah.
then you can really.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like when
Yeah.
I first realized I had the pain, it was like my rotator cuff.
Uh-huh.
It was like all the way from front to back.
right. Okay. And yeah, and you know how muscles are. It's like everything's connected. Once one starts getting tight, it pulls on everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a little bit, finagling to find the point.
Right.
So based on that, Marianne, what point? What is it? What do you think it is? What muscle?
Oh, I'm gonna say it's trapezius.
Yeah. Okay. Trapezius, or it may even be the rhomboid.
The rhomboid.
Rhomboid fits a little bit with what she talked about because remember, rhomboid has to do with frustration, anger, irritation. It's also that feeling of being stabbed in the back. That's usually the muscle that gets affected because on your emotional sheet, how these work is, see the colors here? Okay? The colors here relate to the emotions. It makes it a lot simpler. So if you've got a particular, so if we have rhomboid, what color is it?
Yellow would be.
Green, right? So you're going to go to the green chart, okay, which is going to be liver.
Hey, we're in the same group in that.
Well, I got a question, Dawn.
Yeah.
From the time I was, I would say 13 on, I always had a really stiff neck, and I would always do one of these, crack my neck.
I would say frustration fits more than
From 13 on.
Yeah. Well, see, we can get these issues and be carrying them, for a very long time.
Yeah.
And remember I talked about last week. We posture all the time, but we're not aware of our posturing. So what happens is, we know what certain things look like, right? If I'm like this,
Right, the same.
what am I
same muscle
doing?
on the other leg, yeah.
Fear. Are you, you're protecting yourself.
Okay. Okay, let's focus here right now as far as the body goes, okay? If I'm doing this posturing, what am I doing?
Guard.
Yeah, avoiding, protecting, right? It's very common, right?
Right.
But what happens is, we don't do it to that degree. It's all on an energetic level. So, but we do it anyway. So what happens is we may just hold our muscle up just slightly, okay? Or we don't even catch that we're tensing it. But over time, if you were doing that since you were 13, you said you had, you said you had neck surgery.
No, not neck surgery.
Oh,
I had low
low back
back
surgery. Well, there's always a reciprocal aspect to that. But anyway, you carry this tension, even though you're not posturing. And some people posture all in an extreme way, but you can be doing this and not even be aware of it. When you carry that pattern, and then over time, it begins to degenerate because the energy that it takes to hold that together, over time it builds up. So you can look at that and address it preferably before it becomes a huge issue.
Well, I've been clipping my teeth at night when I'm sleeping, and I wake up with a headache.
Yeah.
And Stephanie told me it was from so much tension back there.
Right.
She said, you're not totally relaxing at night, and you're clamping your teeth down.
Yeah, TMJ has a lot to do with tension in your and even mouth guards for people that do
I'm
that.
not really tense about anything that I'm aware of.
Yeah, but when you go to sleep, things process out of your system. Let's go back to Tracy for a second with the shoulder issue. I didn't really show this much last week. Jeannie was mentioning how to actually apply this. So let's say, Tracy, why don't you just come sit up here? So, the good thing about Tracy is she's aware, so she's already diagnosed pretty much herself, and you can do that once you have enough consciousness. And she brought her attention, well, Marianne pinpointed the muscle more in this, you can see when she reacts to it. So I'm looking for the particular point, and the thing about this is it could be quite a few different muscle involvement going on. So she said she's got an emotional issue. Now, things that we went over last week, we didn't go over this week, is the left side of the body is feminine. Okay, so when there's an issue, and this is important to remember, if it's an issue on the left side, it usually relates to the person's feminine energy, which feminine energy means about nurturing, it means about giving, it needs the ability to receive, right? And then masculine is about doing and going out. So here she says she's overly supporting, shoulders being support, right? Her daughter, which is the feminine figure, right? So you find the tension area, okay, and you don't have to use a lot of pressure, but you're finding a particular area, okay. My right hand's a better finder. Everybody's a little bit different. My right hand's a little bit more of a Geiger counter. There's actually a couple of points here, so I would go through all of them. And let's say it's the rhomboid for jollies. Now go to your color sheet with the emotions. Turn it over on the other side. That one right there, should we? Yeah, you get the right side. You're looking at it. There you go. Okay, you should see the person's face and the chest, right? Okay. Now, the whole thing is color-coded to make it easy for you. So what color is the rhomboid? Green. Okay, and it's what? Liver. Okay, and now where is the liver point to tap on?
Underneath.
Yeah, underneath the breast area. Not the breast tissue, but kind of where the underwire hits. It's on that lower rib cage. So what I would do is I'd go to this.
It's on the right, not the left.
I'm going with this. All meridians are the same on both sides, just like the muscle charts. All muscles are on the same side. But everybody's muscles are different because Deborah mentioned that her son is missing a pec muscle on the left side. I think it was the left side. So, and that means something too, right? So I'm finding the point, and if you're massaging somebody, it would be like they're on their back, would be the easiest way to do this. You're holding the point, lifting up the little pressure, and then the other hand, you would be rubbing that liver point. You can rub or hold the point. So my focus is to clear the tension out of the rhomboid by accessing that meridian. Does that make sense? If not, tell me so I can make more sense. Now I can hold it with pressure. I can rub it. If it's in a massage setting, I will tend to rub it. But you can tap it, you can put pressure, anything to move the energy. You can also slap it. Yeah. And here's the thing that you may notice when you're doing this type of work. You may notice that something's not moving like you want it to with this setup. So what might I do? Yeah, that's one way, but our hands are polarized too. There's a negative and positive to it. So let's stand up just a second.
Change your name.
Exactly. I would change hands. And I'm going to change her to make it easier so I can not have my back to you. So I'm going to go with my right hand to the area since it's more of a feeler, and then I'm going to go back with my left hand to the point. Okay? Sometimes that makes a huge difference because it's like a huge, like if you put your batteries in backwards, it's not going to work, right? So I'm holding the muscle area. Ooh. Now I can find it a little bit deeper. And then I'm going to go to the point on that the lower rib cage, which is liver, and you've got the chart right there to show you. And I'm just rubbing in the area. Now you can energetically imagine that they're connected if you want to. You don't have to. The liver meridian has a very specific pathway. It goes down the inside of the legs and off the big toe. I can imagine that if I wanted to. If you don't know that, you don't have to though. And I'm just going by what, in most of even massage, most of the time I'm just going along and something pops in my head. Massage, how many times did it happen to you? I mean, do you go by a protocol anymore? I don't even go by a protocol. It's like I'm going along, something pops in my head and I do it. So as I'm holding this, my right hand wants to move over the point, while my left hand is just over the liver. Okay. Now there was an upper trapezius that's in the same area. And what meridian is that? What organ?
Kidneys.
Oh, upper trapezius, sorry.
No, I'm at the mid trapezius.
Mid trapezius.
Yeah.
Spleen.
Spleen, okay. Now where's the spleen point to tap? Yeah. And it's very close, right? Here's the liver's right here, and the spleen's just right around the corner. Spleen is for women is right where your underwire hits. And there's a book out there called Dress to Kill, and basically it talks about in America why there's so many women with breast issues is because of the bra.
We're not supposed to go underwire.
Right. There's a cool, not the cool thing, but we took a compass in class. Underwire is a big issue, just like Shelby said. Under plastic is the best, but underwire is the problem because when you bend a piece of metal, it becomes a magnet. So you can take a compass, and if you have somebody who's an underwire, and go up to it, and it'll make that compass go off, right? And what does magnet do to blood? Why do you wear those magnetic bracelets?
It gets rid of my pain.
Yeah. What it does is it brings blood flow, which has a lot of minerals, to the area. The magnet is pulling those minerals to the area. Or chi is another way that they look at it. Same thing, blood flow chi. But the thing about that is if you've got breast tissue that has lots of lymphatic, lots of blood, and you have a magnet over them bringing more blood and issue there, plus they're strapped down and they can't move freely, because men are afraid to, men can't control themselves, then women have all these issues because their lymphatic system is not cleaning out like it needs to. It gets more and more toxic. So women, if you have to wear a bra, in the evening if you can, it's best to go without for a while before you go to bed, and for sure never sleep with one.
And jiggle them
Thank you for that. Or get somebody else to jiggle them for you.
When we did that, when we had class, that's what she would have us do. She would have us take our bras and literally,
Jiggle.
yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Get that lymph going here.
Yep.
What kind of class?
Oh,
Good one.
Which one is that?
How did we miss it, Katie?
I'll make our own class.
John, you're talking about metals, in the underbra. About, what was it, 2 years ago, at that time I had this townhouse and my son lived upstairs. So when I'd go upstairs, I started noticing my legs, my muscles in my legs were getting weaker, and it was harder to walk upstairs. And I knew there wasn't anything physically wrong with me, so I checked all the emotional, mental things, and that wasn't it either. And then one day I realized, I thought, oh my gosh, check my glasses. And the metal in the glasses that I had, you know, I'd had them for so long, that they were short circuiting. The electricity in my legs.
That's
And it took
interesting.
me about 6 weeks not wearing those glasses till my strength returned. Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh.
You know,
So you need to change your glass every year.
Well, you need to test your glasses before you buy them.
Right.
You know, to make sure that they're not adverse
Or
anyway.
get plastic.
Or, yeah, that's what I
See, because
I think
your
it's better
gallbladder
than
meridian,
plastic.
your liver and gallbladder are in charge of sight. And then you're wearing a piece, which the gallbladder meridian's right here, so put a piece of metal in here, it's a huge antenna. You know, when you're thinking, where do we tend to rub here when we think, right?
Right.
So we're actually, so the whole body's a keyboard. So all I'm doing with Tracy is I'm playing with her keyboard to change what's showing up on our screen. That's basically what we're doing with massage or anything else, is we're messing with the keyboard to get the screen to change what shows up.
Hit the escape key, so she'll get
Yeah.
I'm
The
stuck in my
reset key.
Control-Alt-Delete mode.
Yeah.
Her face
You're
has changed.
kind of rewriting an
Her
antivirus.
face has already changed.
Like
since
what?
She sat down.
Like, what do you mean?
To me, she was in a lot of pain when she sat down.
She was
Her face
facing
was-
this way.
But there wasn't a smile on her face, and now I see her smiling a little bit. So I
Yes,
feel-
Jeannie?
Are you only holding the meridian, or would you just trace the meridian?
You can trace it. It's a good point, Jeannie. And maybe we'll get into that because that gets involved in trying to show everybody the meridians, which that alone takes a lot of time. But I'm just holding it. I'm not even, so I'm trying to show you that you can do this without knowing all that. So I'm not imagining it going out. I'm just holding my thumbs on the point. And sometimes whatever finger you're drawn to put there matters too. Don't judge it. Just put the right, because my thumb wants to be here. And all I'm doing more work over the muscle, but I'm not really pushing in there deep. I feel like the energy just needs to be dispersed, okay? And the liver point is helping with that. And then I did some on the spleen. That felt pretty good. And then you just keep going with that until you feel it release more and more. And then you can also do your other massage techniques. And if you're open, and I'm trying to be more and more bridging this, and if your client's open, you can be telling, if they come forward, or you can say, you know, the mind and the emotions show up in the body, and they're open with that, you could take it like saying, you could take it even further, and you could say, okay, Tracy, you know, this area here relates, and you talked about your daughter, then you can actually have her say some things to help clear it out even more. So although, we're just going to play with this a little bit.
Tracy, does it hurt what he's doing?
Not anymore.
Did it at the very beginning?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was
Ask Steven.
she was going
Yeah.
when he first touched her.
And right
And
now,
I've had that
I'm doing the same pressure I was.
Yeah.
So then what you do is so I'm doing the same thing, holding the same points, although I feel that I'm carrying my daughter too much,
That I'm carrying my daughter too much,
and it's weighing me down,
and it's weighing me down,
and giving me a pain in my shoulder.
and giving me a pain in my shoulder.
I'm going to be okay.
I'm going to be okay.
Something as simple as that. And what it does is, if the screen is what's going on inside the mind, you're bringing the awareness to the program, right? The program that's setting this off is that she's carrying her daughter too much, and there's a little bit of liver gallbladders coming up, and that's going to be related to what?
Anger.
Frustration, anger. So she's starting to feel that, which means the muscle's going to start doing this thing, and I'm over-exaggerating, but then it starts to tense, because she's working out in the morning, taking care of herself, and the muscle's tightening so it doesn't move like it should, and then we have what we call an accident. But it's really not an accident, is it? And then I'm also drawn up into the trapezius now, and I would just follow that. The upper trapezius is what muscle?
Kidney.
Okay, what color?
Blue.
Okay, now where is the meridian point that you tap? Yep. Everybody got that? Did you follow that, shall we? So the upper trapezius, you see that, right? It's on the back. It's color blue. Now go to your other chart. No, go to the other side. I'm not really going too much into the emotions yet because I'm trying to get everybody just to kind of get the correlation between the two charts. See where kidney is? Now remember, you can just look for the color. Okay, so kidney is going to be right where the collarbone meets the sternum. And since I have a free hand, I'm going to do both points at one time. Are they sore? Whenever you have, and she'll be like, whenever they're sore, that meridian's blocked in some way. You've got something going on. So.
Is
You know,
it right on those two bones?
no, it's
Right underneath it.
it's underneath the collarbone and right where that meets the sternum. Actually, most meridian points have an indentation there. There's an indentation there.
Right underneath them.
You got it. Yep. You got it. So show me what you can do. If you're just tender, you could go to the blue emotional list and read that and see if anything fits. Does that make sense? So so since I'm drawn to this area, if you're massaging the person, you can work that whole shoulder. I find the point in here, and then I'm going to manipulate the meridian. Okay. And Jeannie, if you know the meridian, you can run it if you want to, like flush the energy out. Exactly, you can do that. You can simply rub it though. You don't have to know the meridian. And at this point, you don't have to know the emotion. You can throw that in. But what are somebody read the emotions about kidney? What are you laughing about, Pam? Her face? Oh, sorry. I'm all talking.
Escapism, fear, guilt, powerless, broken will, deep disappointment, demoralized, bad news, fight, deep exhaustion, survival, brutal, terror, lack confidence, want to run.